Are you interested in learning how to make the game of tennis easier? Well, if so, you've clicked on the right video. Here we're going to talk about 8 key points that you can take with you to the tennis court to help you get a little bit more relaxed and develop that easy, fluid game. Now, point number 1, are you relying on excessive muscle tension? Are you squeezing the racket too hard and inhibiting your ability to accelerate? Or are you forcing the racket forward faster than it wants to go? Or are you slowing the racket slower than it wants to go so that you don't miss your shots? In all cases, you want to identify which kind of tension that you're suffering from so that we can then eliminate it. Point number 2, how are you beginning your forward swing? Are you using your muscles to overcome the inertia of the racket? Or are you releasing the racket into gravity and letting gravity do the initial work of accelerating? Point number 3, how are you controlling your swing speed? Are you bringing your racket back to the same place each time and then either forcing the racket to go too fast or slowing the racket to a place that's slower than natural? Or are you varying the length of your backswing so that you can maintain a nice loose stroke production and control the speed of the racket naturally just through swing length? Point number 4, are you moving dynamically? What I mean by this is, are you using shuffle steps and rolling dip steps in flow with the bounce of the ball, or are you using too many steps or not enough? If you watch high level players, what you'll see is that their movement to the ball and the way that they control their racketed speed both flow out of the same dynamic movement. So the next time you watch a professional tennis player, pay attention to their feet and notice how they neither use too much or too little footwork, and instead they're using dynamic movements to mirror the bounce of the ball. Point number 5, are you counting the contacts? Learning how to count rhythmically is key to developing fluid and effortless timing. So when you see your opponent hitting the ball, are you saying 1? When the ball bounces, are you saying 2? And when you make contact, are you using the right count? Now, the right count is going to change depending on where you happen to hit the ball, whether it's on the rise, on the fall, out of the air, and so on. So if you're interested in learning more about rhythmic counting, you can explore my YouTube page or check out the Gravity Tennis Method course. Point number 6, what are your kinesthetic feelings? Good tennis players are in their body. Tennis players who struggle to get better are locked in their head. When you're playing tennis, you want to feel as much as you can. You want to feel the ball rising and falling, and you want to feel your body mirroring that rise and fall. You want to feel the weight of your racket in your hand. You want to feel the naturalness of the racket accelerating. It's not a good thing to get too in your head and be thinking about strategy too much, or to be thinking about technique and which points you want to hit. Instead, you want to make the game of tennis as intuitive and kinesthetic as possible. Number 7, what was your shot quality? Now, a lot of players tend to get very hung up on in or out, fast or slow. They're too results oriented and they really lose the forest for the trees when it comes to getting better. In my opinion, the most important thing to keep in mind is, how did the stroke feel? A stroke that feels good is good. So if you feel that sweet contact, if you feel that support, and the ball happens to go out or into the net or wide, you're actually closer to where you want to be than if you shank the ball and the ball happens to go in. Now, it's true that you're going to have to make some adjustments to your technique, but in terms of training your body to do the right thing over and over again, you have to reward yourself for a good feeling shot with an affirmative thought. And if you shank a ball, even if the ball goes in, it's important that you don't affirm that kind of shot too much, because you're going to establish those kinds of negative habits. Now, point number 8, are you referring back to your shadow strokes? Now, shadow strokes are strokes that you take without the distraction or pressure of a ball coming. So the advantage of a shadow stroke is you get to hit exactly the kind of stroke that you want without that kind of pressure creating tension. And so in between every few points, you should be taking loose, easy, rhythmic shadow strokes and just reminding your body of the kinesthetic feeling of what that stroke feels like. I guarantee you, if you take a couple of shadow strokes before your next rally, your first couple of shots are going to be the best few shots of that rally. So make sure you refer to them frequently. Now, I did say there were 8 points, but I want to add in one more bonus point, which is, are you playing with chronic pain? Now, if you learn how to use momentum to your advantage and become relaxed on the tennis court, you're going to be taking a big step towards resolving any chronic issues, because we tend to develop chronic pain in our joints due to too much muscle tension in various ways. Either we're squeezing too hard, we're forcing the racket, we're resisting the racket. These tend to gather tension in the most vulnerable joints of our body, and we develop chronic injuries. And so, the way out of those injuries is not necessarily a softer racket, although that can help, or a lighter racket, but really it's about learning to use your momentum more efficiently. So, learning to play with relaxation is going to really help you if you have those injuries. And even if you don't have those injuries, by learning a relaxed style, you're going to make sure that you don't develop those injuries in the long term. So chances are you were following along with this video with the PDF that I sent to your email. But in case you haven't already gotten one, make sure you go to gravitytennis.com and send me your email, and I will send you this free checklist. Make sure you print this out and bring it with you to your next practice or match so that you can remind yourself how to stay relaxed and continue along the path of developing a relaxed technique in your game. If becoming more relaxed is something that you'd really like to explore more in depth, you can check out my course, which is just completed, Volume 1 of the Gravity Tennis Method. In this course, you're going to learn all of the basic fundamentals that you need to develop a relaxed and fluid game. And this really is meant for players of all levels that are hoping to become more relaxed in their technique. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you leave a like if you found this video helpful, and I will see you next time. Stay loose.